Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. For a great many people, getting started on the road to wealth is the most difficult part, or so they believe. The nuances of each individual case need not concern us, but the difficulties, as stated by virtually every wannabe I ever listened to on the subject, usually fall into one of three broad categories, often age-related. If young and relatively penniless, many will argue that their lack of experience and capital, especially capital, dooms them to decades of wage slavery. If slightly better off and on the way up, with a halfway decent job and perhaps the probability of further advancement, the problem is often considered to be the loss of what they have already achieved, plus the lack of capital. By the time one is a senior manager or professional, probably with a decent house, a mortgage and children, it is the risk to the security and happiness of the latter, and maybe to a spouse, plus the usual lack of capital, which are most often cited as insuperable difficulties to taking the plunge. All such objections to becoming rich are spurious, no matter how sincerely held. But before dealing with each in turn, let me digress for a moment regarding upbringing, race, colour, educational qualifications, and gender. I'm doing so here because I do not wish to waste anybody's time. We will be touching on some of the circumstances described above shortly, but in a nutshell, my experience has been that money is colour-blind, race-blind, sex-blind, degree-blind, and couldn't care less who brought you up or in what circumstances. Money is one of the most neutral substances on earth. Others may conspire against you obtaining it through bigotry or prejudice, but they can only succeed if you permit them to. The object of your goal in and of itself is non-sentient. If you truly believe that your race, sex or upbringing can keep you from becoming rich, then you had best give up here. Either return this book to the shelf, or if you have already bought it, return it to the bookstore for a refund or give it to a friend. You may obtain the refund or please your friend, but you will never get rich. Young, penniless and inexperienced? It's the same the whole world over. It's the poor what gets the blame. It's the rich what gets the pleasure. Ain't it all a bleeding shame? Variety Hall song, circa 1915. Excellent. You stand by far the best chance of becoming as rich as you please. You have an advantage that neither education nor upbringing nor even money can buy. You have almost nothing, and therefore you have almost nothing to lose. Yes, I know you've heard all that before, but consider for a moment. Nearly all the great fortunes acquired by entrepreneurs arose because they had nothing to lose. Nobody had bothered to tell them that such and such a thing could not be done or would be likely to fail. Or if they had been told, then they weren't listening. They were too busy proving those around them wrong, without even meaning to. Not knowing that something cannot be done, you're likely to waltz into uncharted minefields where angels before you have feared to dance. Astonishingly, you may be fortunate enough to succeed to some degree or another. Conventional wisdom will then be revised by those around you, and the next generation will be taught that what you did can always or often be done, only to discover when they attempt it themselves that in reality you missed every landmine by pure dumb luck. Never trust the vast mountain of conventional wisdom. It contains great nuggets of wisdom, it is true, but they lie alongside rivers of fool's gold. Conventional wisdom daunts initiative and offers far too many convenient reasons for inaction, especially for those with a great deal to lose. Fortunately for you, you do not have anything to lose and can afford to ignore the Jobsworths and Jeremiahs who have lived upon the mountain for so long that they've come to worship it. Nor is a propensity for risk-taking your only advantage. You have stamina, far beyond those who are 20 or 30 years older. The stamina necessary for long, grinding hours of labour in the cause of getting rich. Stamina enough to party all night and go straight back to work for a 12 or 16-hour day. I remember such stamina fondly. You have no idea how much the stamina of the young is envied by the rest of us. Along with a degree of callousness and enviable powers of speedy recuperation from reverses, stamina is your secret weapon. Its attributes will see you through a raft of catastrophes that would virtually annihilate older men and women. In addition, your instinctive knowledge of modern technology gives you another edge. All those hours spent playing computer or video games might not have been such a waste after all. At least you know the difference between an iPod and a JPEG. And knowledge is power, at whatever age, whether earned by blood and tears or imbibed in a mother's breast. Treasure that instinctive knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. For a great